All right, welcome into our third session of Locked In with Joe, Water Boy Joe. And this is our last session before the Open, which is next weekend. We will still be communicating on Boxer, but this is going to be our last call, and then we'll reconvene afterwards. But so we've been chatting on Boxer leading up to this, but why don't you just kind of give a recap of where you're at?
Yeah, so just this past weekend was our regional here, Western PA. I played in the blind draw on Friday night, played in doubles and then singles, and then a couple sit and goes throughout the day. And then we had our team event, which was awesome. Friday night with the blind draw went pretty well. Went 0-2, but had a lot of fun. And that was kind of the mindset going in, create good habits and let your playing do the work. Then fast forward to the next day, doubles went 0-2, played with a new guy. I think it was a bag choice that kind of led to that, because he went later on and played singles in tier 2 and took second place. So, and he used a different set of bags. So kind of made that assumption that, we probably should have made a switch after game 1, but never really got into a rhythm. It seemed like the games kind of went pretty fast and we never were able to kind of get into a rhythm. But then fast forward to singles, and it was super hyped because I got my first tier 1 singles win ever. Up until that point, it's been 0-2, 0-2, 0-2 really, really fast. So took down a local guy, then played another guy from across the state, took him down, so it was 2-0, and then had to face pro Lucas Householder, good dude from around that area. And first couple rounds were pretty good, but then he locked in and was not missing a bag. He was definitely in the flow state, and nothing was getting him out of that. So yeah, that was a pretty good beating. And then went down to the losers bracket and took on another hot player, Chucky Love. Again, they were just cooking, not doing anything special, kind of just running bags and then hitting shots when they needed to. They've been doing it for a while, which Chucky Love has been. So I was very happy to go 2-2. I think overall I threw in singles, I think I was just over a 9 for the 4 games. So right in that about where I've been. And then the team's event went really well. Played round limited doubles, went 1-2, but the games that I threw in, I threw an 11-1 game, which was awesome. I was cooking, I was feeling it. And then the other 2 games were right about 9-2, give or take. So it seems like even when I'm not throwing, or what I would consider not throwing my best, I'm still hovering right around that 9 PPR, which a while ago would have been like, wow, like that's my top of my game. Like I'm playing so good. And now that's kind of the floor, right? Maybe just right below my average. I'm loving that. That's fantastic. Now it's just, okay, let's fine tune a couple things here and there. And then I should be able to consistently be at that 9.5, 10 PPR without even thinking about it. So last weekend was fantastic. This weekend's not too busy, but I will be in the gym throwing for at least an hour and a half, 2 hours every day in preparation for what's to come in Cleveland next week.
We raised your floor.
Yes,
That's great.
Yes, the floor has been raised, and again, it's weird. I'm not upset, but I can still see that there's room for improvement, whether it was one bad round where I threw a 5 or something goofy like that. And if I get rid of those 5s and 7s and convert those to a 10 or 12, it's only going to help everything. So it's been good. And mentally, cornhole is fun. I know when I first started, it was a lot of thinking, and there is obviously still some of that, but it's not to the degree that it's driving me insane and I can't perform.
Yeah, that's a huge difference. So what I really want to get into as we get ready for Cleveland is I want to bring to the surface all of the potential triggers, because what we want to do is get ahead of it. So you're going to go in hopefully feeling really good, excited, I got this, right? But inevitably something is going to pull you out of that state at some point. And I want us to be prepared for when that happens so that it doesn't become a threat when it happens.
Gotcha.
So I want to talk about what some of those things are. And we can start with when you messaged me after doubles, you said, man, it just went by so fast. So
Yes.
let's start there, and then we can go into more specific. That's not really a trigger, but it's something we can, get ahead of, and making sure that your pacing is where you want it to be. And we talked last week about how that performance state is very exciting. So our heart is racing and there's adrenaline, and we don't want that to set the pace of the game. So it's using it to, basically enjoy the experience and knowing that this is why you do it, is for this state, and that's exciting. I'm ready to go. And then we need that transition into coming into the flow state, which is a lot slower. Not even necessarily pacing, because everyone's pace is so different. You look at some throwers throw really fast and it's fine. So I'm not even actually talking literally about time, but more just about the energy of how it feels. Like, are you feeling grounded and like you're moving in more slow motion than the, oh my God, where did the game go? And like, this is going to sound weird, but what kind of eater are you? Are you like a fast eater, slow eater?
Very, very fast.
Okay, very fast eater. So if I told you to slow down, how difficult would that be for you to become like a slow eater?
Just ask my wife. Very, very. And she has said, take a bite, put the fork down, chew, drink. Once you've swallowed, go back for another. Whereas, like you said, I want to savor that the meal or whatever I'm eating, but sometimes it's just so good that I don't allow myself to enjoy that. So
Okay, so
yes,
this is the same.
if you were to say, take a bite, set your fork down, think about chewing or whatever, and then proceed to go on with the meal. That would be very difficult, just eating wise.
Yeah, and
Yes.
so it's going to be even more difficult when you get to Cleveland and playing cornhole, transitioning back to cornhole, but it's
Right.
actually the same skill. So
Okay.
let's practice this week. And I don't actually, because I work with binge eating and emotional eating and all that stuff. So I work with the extremeness of this side with people. And I actually don't tell people to eat slower because it's going to feel impossible when that's what you've been doing. And especially if there's a compulsion to eat, which I'm not saying is the case for you, but it's what I dealt with. So I just want to introduce breathing. So before you start your meal, 5 deep breaths. And then you could just have, you could either say like every few bites I take a breath, or you can say when my meal's a quarter gone, I take a breath, but create some kind of standard where you have a check-in where you just breathe. So I'm just going to introduce breathing into your meals, which automatically slows you down, but most importantly, it triggers the rest and digest state as opposed to the fight or flight state. So when we eat really quickly, we're eating in fight or flight, and then digestion's messed up, and there's all kinds of stuff from that. But we're not talking about health here, but it is akin to what's happening on the boards, right? You get excited for the meal, you get excited for the game.
Yeah.
Once you get excited, you're in that state. It's hard to slow it down. So we're going to practice that technique with your eating. So just try that on and see how it goes.
Love that. Perfect.
And then, surprise, surprise, we're going to introduce breathing into your cornhole play. So you'll do the same thing, right? You'll feel that adrenaline, get excited, take 5 deep breaths, and then fire your first bag. So you're coming into you're transitioning into the flow state. With cornhole. In food, you're transitioning into the rest and digest parasympathetic nervous system. we don't expect to be in the parasympathetic nervous system when we compete, because it's that relaxed state that just wouldn't make sense. You wouldn't play very well there. You do have to be in the sympathetic nervous system, which is fight or flight, but we can once again trigger that challenge response, which supports us versus the threat. So we can perform really well from there. But let's just add some breathing in. So the most obvious would be after your 4 bags. You would take, your deep breaths. You could do it before each bag, but that might feel excessive if it's not something that's part of your pre-shot routine already. If it is part of your pre-shot routine, then perfect. There's nothing to change.
Okay.
But you can at least start with, after you throw your 4th bag, you take a deep breath. Or right before you throw your first of 4 bags, you take a deep breath. You just kind of try that on for size and see what you like. But at least the 5 deep breaths before you start. And that's a good rule of thumb in life in general. When you're, it just helps you come into the present moment with whatever task you're doing. So even when I'm working, if I find myself starting to move too fast for no real reason, I'm just like, stop. Breathe. What are you doing? There's nothing crazy going on. You're acting like someone's holding a gun to your head and you have to type as fast as you can, right? Like you don't. So it's just breathing will help with that.
That's good. Awesome.
All right. Now let's talk about what are the potential threats. They're not real threats, but they can be a threat. Let's get them all out on the table. Think about all the times you've played cornhole.
Mm-hmm.
And with your more recent changes, because it may have evolved a bit, like what's some of the worst things that could happen that you're going to know, man, I'm going to really have to work hard if X, Y, and Z happen?
I think with the amount of people that are going to be there, peripherals seem to be still kind of a thing. For instance, if I'm on a board that has games going on next to them, or if I'm on the end and there's a walkway right there, or people sitting, getting up and down, knowing they're not going to do anything to physically interfere with the game, but just their presence being there, sometime that is a distraction. Or if I'm ready to throw and I see a movement, I'm thinking, oh, are they going to accidentally walk in front of, or are they going to, the person next to me going to have to step out, or kind of thing. So those little things, I try to put on the blinders, tunnel vision, try to get locked into my game. But yeah, sometimes those little nuances still happen, or things tend to happen. So I guess I don't know if there's not a way that you can prevent it, but I don't know if there's a way that I can make myself think of something else as opposed to focusing on exterior movement outside of the game.
I think you're going to find it impossible not to notice exterior anything unless you are in that tunnel vision state, which it takes a certain level of pressure and circumstances to create that tunnel vision. Like you hear it from players on the broadcast court. They'll say, I don't even notice the people in the crowd, like they go into tunnel vision, but that's a high level of pressure with other things. So I don't think we can use that as a strategy. Of course, if it happens, it's great, right? If you could go into that flow state where everything becomes black and you're just, all you see is the hole, like it's magic. But
right.
But assuming that's not always going to happen, I think what you're gonna always notice things around you. But the pre-shot routine, the goal of the pre-shot routine is to prepare you for what's about to happen. So even if you're like, oh, look, there's that. Hopefully you're not doing that while you're actually throwing a bag. So it's like in the in-betweens. And then you just have a pretty strict commitment that you don't throw a bag unless you do your pre-shot routine. And that should focus you back in on what you're about to do, the task at hand, for at least that moment that it takes to release the bag. And then you start the process over again, right? So it's like, okay, somebody over to my right just moved. Okay, oh, my turn to throw. All right. And then pre-shot routine, release the bag. Oh, look, there's a kid running over there. Okay, my turn to throw. Okay, pre-shot routine, right? So that's an extreme. That would be like if you were distracted every single throw, which isn't going to happen.
Right.
But if you get into that habit of, before I always have the same routine before I throw a bag, then it kind of doesn't matter what distracts you right before, right after. All that matters is that one moment when you're about to throw the bag and what state you're in that one moment.
Gotcha. No, that's good.
So then let's go into more. What else could derail your performance?
Um, if I notice that the board speeds tend to get stickier as the day goes on, more people and everything, and then going into the mindset, okay, do I adjust my throw or should I adjust my bags and try to go with a faster bag as opposed to, maybe the standard carpet bag that I'm throwing or whatever the case is. Because with a faster bag, I'm typically not able to do the same cuts that I am just because the bag's not going to grab. So at that point, I'm literally just running bags. And I guess shooting airmails as opposed to feeling confident enough that if I have to throw a back block that's going to sit, or if I have to throw my right to left cut, and being able to. So I guess having the confidence in whatever decision that is, whether it is, okay, the boards are really, really tacky, I have no choice, I should go to this faster bag, or you know what, I'm just going to land it 2-3 inches further up the board than I normally would with these bags and allow it to creep into the hole as opposed to landing short. I guess trying to focus on which decision is going to be the best and then having confidence in that decision.
In a perfect world, you'd have time to rep out whatever one you chose so that it would feel no different than if you have to go and hit an airmail, right? It's just something you've repped in addition to what you normally do without
Right.
any kind of, interference. Since we don't have that time, which you could put in some sessions with faster bags, in your practice sessions just to see if that's the choice.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just assume we couldn't do that. What intuitively are you more guided to do? Is it to switch bags or switch your mechanics?
Probably switch my mechanics.
Okay. So then definitely rep that different landing spot, whatever
Okay.
that's the change, right? You're just landing a different spot.
Yeah, because with my bag flight, if the boards are tacky and I land short, it's going to kick left on me. So I'd have to land further up the board so that it would kick left into the hole as opposed to landing straight at the hole and kicking basically out of reach. It'll either be a level 1-2 blocker in their lane, or it's going to be on the side of the hole that's going to make it very difficult for me to collect, if at all.
All right, so just rep this enough that you
Okay.
feel confident. So you could even put like some kind of marker on the board of where you want that, and then like just how many times can you hit that. I don't want you to change your automation of what you normally do, so definitely make sure that you go back to your normal throw in the same practice session so that you're not teaching this is what we're doing now instead of.
Okay.
But I would imagine if you're repping that different landing spot, is it just going to land in a blocking position if the if the boards are normal speed?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not the worst thing.
No.
It will just come up a little short, and you've repped the other one so many times that I'd imagine if you accidentally did that throw in a game with normal speed, it would come up short, and after a few times you'd be like, oh, I'm in that other landing spot. But I see it as no different than you developing a cut, a roll, an airmail, because you have to slightly change your mechanics to accomplish those things as well. Airmail's a different landing spot, obviously, because it's the hole, not the board. So you're just adding a different landing spot into your repertoire, but you don't have a ton of time to build confidence in that. So just enough that you can say, I know I can hit it if it really comes down to it. If in worst case scenario you end up just blocking the hole a bunch in that scenario, and you know how to deal with a block, so it's not the worst thing in the world.
Gotcha. Perfect.
I don't know, does that feel like enough to overcome that?
Yeah, I mean, and again, it's more, I know if I needed to, I mean, even if I kept the same bag and I was just like, all right, I'm just going to flip it over and throw fast side. and let it get around the hole and kind of, I feel comfortable doing that because I do that normally with a push shot anyway. I mean, it's straight center. So I guess with the mentality of if I throw normally and it cuts to the left and it's dripping in the hole, but now the boards are tacky and now it's in that 1.5 level block. Now I'm thinking, okay, now I either have to throw it harder to try to push through it or, ultimately flip it over and kind of push it through, depending on obviously the scenario. If they decide to block and then at that point we're shooting airmails or step out, push obviously goes into those kind of shots, which I've repped, but just having the confidence, like, you know what, it was smart to just change my mechanics ever so slightly and land it deeper on the board, as opposed to, well, I haven't thrown these bags in a while because I haven't prepped for this kind of tackiness, so let's just hope that it's kind of works.
That doesn't feel like that doesn't feel like the play.
No, yeah, exactly.
You have much more experience altering your mechanics to accomplish something with a bag, so I that's the version I would go with as well.
Okay.
And I guess just the mindset reminder that the reason why you are skilled with the shots you have is because you've repped them. And so when you're attempting to use a shot you haven't repped as much, it's not a time to evaluate the self and say, oh, I'm not very good. I don't want you to say, I'm not very good on slow boards. I don't think that's accurate. You haven't repped that landing spot as much with that bag, right? So it's like if the boards are whatever speed, you land here and it goes where, you know what I mean? Like, it's predictable because you've repped it thousands of times. So I at the very least, just want to make sure that when you're in that scenario, you're not saying, oh, I'm not good at this slow board. It's just like, oh, okay, this is that alternate shot that I haven't repped quite as much, but that's fine. I know where to land. I know what to do. So that way we're not telling ourselves this is something I'm not good at, because that's inaccurate. It just hasn't been practiced as much as other things.
Gotcha.
And I'm sure there's been situations in your past where you felt, oh man, this calls for a roll or a cut or an airmail, and maybe you hadn't repped those obviously as much as your slide, but you're like, it's kind of just the right thing to do. And even though it's not your most repped thing, you just kind of say, I think it's the call, and you do it, and it's probably fine. So you have experiences of practicing using those types of shots in game, knowing, okay, I've only repped this 100 times versus 10,000 times, but we're going to trust it and just go with it.
Right. Gotcha. Like that.
Okay, so we talked about distractions, about slow boards. What are the other things that will derail your performance?
Might be kind of a goofy one, but maybe just being little star-studded. I mean, yeah. I follow anytime, I'm watching on YouTube or Facebook Live, you're seeing the same players. Like I could probably name more cornhole players now than I could like pro wrestlers, like back in the day when I was hooked on it. You know what I mean? Like that's how goofy it's switched. And so, if I see the name like, oh, me and Tanner got to go up against Jacob Drzezinski and Jamie Graham, like, here we go. I mean, it's like, I understand then it kind of goes back to the mindset, like, play my game, not the name, but like, do you just, instead of breathing 5 times, should I breathe seven times in between?
You don't let yourself be human, right? In other sports, this isn't an option, right? When you basketball, you didn't get to play Kobe.
That's true. Very true.
Like, imagine in basketball, if you went out in the freaking thing and there was Kobe, you're like, oh shit. This is not good for me.
Right. No, but that is a good point. Yeah. With the opens, I mean, you could possibly run across those pros and everything and everything. So that is kind of cool. That is really,
just count on it. Yeah. You have to count on it because it's very likely. And we want to be prepared for that. Or actually, no, you won't, because it's a signature open. So the pros will be in the pro. So you're actually fine for this one.
okay.
If you go if you go play like a normal open, then yes. But here you're going to play against advanced players, and the pros play in their own pro bracket. So you actually don't have to run into them here.
Okay.
But we'll still prepare for it, because what if like Jamie Graham comes and stands behind your board and watches your game? That probably creates the same amount of like starstruckness, if you will.
Yeah, no, I had Brett Guy watch me when I was in intermediate, because I think his younger brother was also, I was playing against him, and so yeah, I mean, he was recording, and I'm just like, yeah, this is Brett Guy teams with Matt Guy, like, this is so cool. And yeah.
All right, so I definitely take a moment to let yourself be human and be like, whoa, this is crazy. Like, just like you would have, any other sport. If you're like, this is the like, so let yourself be a kid for a moment and be like, this is what a cool experience I get to have. And I get to share the space with these amazing people who are so good at what they do that I'm learning from and aspiring to be like, and what an honor to stand here. And like, this is just so cool. And then do your pre-shot routine and lock in.
No, that's good. Okay, I wrote down I love that.
Yeah, just you're human, right? Like, it's so cool. You just don't want to throw from that state, but you get to be in that state, and then just don't throw from there. Definitely, do your resets and your routines to make sure you're back locked into the game. And if you feel yourself drift out, like you have a thought like, oh my God, that's like, you throw your bag and it goes in, and then you like look to the left and there's, whoever, and you're like, oh my God, then that's fine. Just make sure you don't release the bag with that thought. Like come back to the present. Yeah. The present moment is this bag in your hand, and that's all that matters. And then go wherever. And then it's just bag in my hand, and this is all that matters. So it's just continuing to come back, like really being disciplined to come back to that bag, regardless of what's happening around you.
Perfect. Yeah, no, I mean, other than, like I said, we talked about, obviously, board conditions, just going with the mechanics. Distractions, they're going to happen, but as long as you reset with my pre-shot routines, good. Starstruck, okay to be there, just don't throw from there, and then come back down, routine, go there. I mean, unless I'm not just out there throwing twos or something absolutely.
Let's talk about it, right?
I don't think, or I'm trying to think of any other scenarios either that I've come across, or we talked about pacing, just making sure that it's, if the other guy is rocking fire, but that's not my style or my routine, no, slow it down, go at my pace. And then he can go at his pace when it's his turn or her turn, whoever it is, and kind of go from there. Yeah, no, I mean, I feel really like good. I'm excited, and
yeah,
I'm sure the adrenaline will be pumping when we get there. But yeah, I feel really good, both singles and doubles, specifically doubles, because I know I'm better than what I've been throwing the past several regionals, and even just local events and everything. So if I'm able to dial that in, we should be able to make a pretty decent run, I would think.
Yeah, you are going to feel the adrenaline, and I say embrace the adrenaline. Get it, that, like I said, this is what life is about. It's about, like, people chase adrenaline, right? There's adrenaline junkies. It's an actual thing. So clearly, it's something positive. It's just you don't want to get trapped in it, but definitely assume you will feel all the adrenaline and be happy that you feel the adrenaline, because you're alive and competing and in this really cool experience. And what a crazy life we live, and like, just embrace all of it. And then, like I said, and then get ready to throw a bag, but don't like exclude yourself from that really cool moment when you get to just have all that, because that's nothing to be afraid of. It's not a threat to your game at all. It's part of the human experience, and it's part of what makes being alive, so rewarding and fun, and why you do what you do. So I would just like get excited, smile about it, be happy about it, and then become a weapon, right? Then it's like, now it's on.
Right. No, I love it. Absolutely love it.
You're just transitioning, which is so normal. And you're going to transition in and out all throughout the day. And it's just you're just noticing like, oh, I feel different. I don't want to release this bag yet. I saw it with DLE in women's over the weekend. I saw her step off of the court. I haven't spoken to her, but I have to assume that she felt something shift and a change. And so she left the court. She obviously did some kind of reset. She got the next bag in. So don't be afraid to advocate for yourself in those moments. Not that you have to actually say anything out loud, but you are kind of internally self-advocating and saying, I don't feel like I'm in the right state. So I'm not releasing this bag in this state. I'll do whatever it takes. If I have to walk away, if I have to do jumping jacks, if I have to, scream into my bag, like whatever, I don't care. Whatever it takes to get me into the right state, I'm going to do it. And it's just going to have to be what it will be. And then don't be afraid to ice people who are hot. You mentioned, the person, Lucas Householder, was not missing. Use a timeout, ice them. It doesn't always work, but it's worth a shot
Right.
to at least get them out of their rhythm.
That's perfect. Yeah, absolutely. And oddly enough, I enjoy doing that. I like taking the Cash Chamness timeout. He's one of the best at doing that.
I mean, he does it for himself. I don't see him so much do it to ice people. He's really good at taking it for himself.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I guess, to get in his own, but yeah, he knows when to use them. And so I too need to be a little bit more aware of that and be able to take it. Because obviously if I'm cooking, I want to stay in that state, but yeah, if somebody else is, it's not going to hurt.
Yeah, well, you're not going to stay in that state. Like that's right. I don't want you going in with the expectation that you're going to lock into the flow state at 9 a.m. and not come out of it until 9 p.m. Like it's just
right.
Not
yeah. No.
So you have to know you are going to drift in and out, and your entire job is just to notice it and then use your reset and trust your reset and know that it's not a big deal if you drift out. Like you're going to, like it's just the way it is. And maybe there are people that, I think about someone like Mark Richards, who really does lock in and really doesn't talk to anybody throughout the day and kind of tries to stay in that state. And it clearly works for him.
Yeah.
That's not what I would suggest as a strategy. Because I just don't think that's the most fun you can have. Like, you know what I mean? Like you don't get to socialize and be with the people and, and I know he's, this is his job and he takes it very serious. And maybe that's just a different version of this game that we're not talking about. But I think for most of us, we want to lock in for moments and then be able to let it go and, just be silly or do whatever. And then know that you can trust that you can lock back in at any given moment. So you don't have to worry about staying in it and being afraid to come out of it. Gotcha.
No, that's good.
Okay, then I just want to transition to some of the stuff that we were talking about through Voxer and, this analogy of the CEO and the employees and the conscious and the unconscious mind. And but really because I want to talk about how you prepare for the event and then how the self-talk is happening during the event. And that's kind of where I see this analogy coming in. And the overthinking comes from us trying to operate from our conscious mind because it's what's tangible and what we can see. But as I stated, that's only 10% of our capacity. So it really limits our ability to have a great outcome because it requires all of our effort and all of our control, which is exhausting and leads to burnout and depletes energy. And it's also just not how we're meant to operate. We're supposed to train our employees, train our subconscious mind. But because it's subconscious, we're not aware of it. And so in order to bring the subconscious into our conscious awareness, it takes deeper conversations like this and a lot of self-awareness. So you'll have people that say, I don't know why I can't, or I don't know why I'm a procrastinator, right? I don't know why I procrastinate. I just do. So that's a subconscious habit. That's 90% of their result. And they're not sure why it's happening because they haven't dove deep into their subconscious and said, what is this about? Where is this coming from? Instead, they try to use willpower and force to try to change it. I'm not going to procrastinate. I'm not going to procrastinate. And guess what? You only have this tiny 10% capacity to make that happen. And the subconscious wins every single time. So
Yeah.
our job is to notice what are our subconscious patterns, and do they work for us? Are they actually helping us get to where we want to go? And if not to take control and say, oh, well, forget it. I have to do everything myself. I got to control everything. It's to say, well, let me take some time of have some awareness for what's actually happening. Like, in other words, let my subconscious tell me what the heck's going on in there. And then from that point, provide support and resources so that those changes can happen under the surface automatically. So then we move into that CEO employee analogy, which is your job as the conscious mind, as the CEO, is to create the vision, make decisions, and be there to support. So some small ways we could do that: when you're thirsty, you drink water, right? That's our employees saying, hey, we need some water over here. And you're like, got you, I can do that. When you're hungry, you feed your body. When you have to go to the bathroom, you don't wait, you go. I mean, obviously in cornhole, that's different. Sometimes you can't, but as much as you can, right? What this is doing is it's strengthening the mind-body connection. Your body's saying, here's what I need. And you're saying, I hear you, I got you, let me do that for you. That's easier for some of those, basic needs. It gets a little bit more complex when it's like, I need rest. And you're like, I'm in the middle of a work day. I can't really do that. Or I don't like to rest. I feel unproductive. So sometimes those needs that come from our subconscious can challenge our conscious mind. And then we don't want to provide for that. And then that severs the relationship. And then now all of a sudden we're not hearing our needs. And then we're left all on our own in our heads to do everything by ourselves, which does not work well. So to wrap this all up, back to cornhole, I like to say, let's say we're having a board meeting, right? So you're bringing all your employees into the room and you're like, hey guys, we've got a big event coming up. So what are you going to tell your employees leading up to this event? What, like, you're going to get them prepared and excited, and then you're going to explain how you're going to be there, your role in this. So how would you, what's your board meeting? What's your pep talk?
So I'm telling my employees, look, just continue to do what you've done for the past 2.5 years. You have your pre-shot routine. Don't deviate from it. You know it works. You got your grip. Take a breath. Throw the bag. You know the release point. Run bags. Go into the hole. If and when you see any kind of obstacle, whether it's a block bag, maybe a missed bag by your opponent, capitalize on that. If it's a missed bag, go in, make them pay for it. If they miss another one, go in, make it hurt, get your points. If you see that they're trying to muddy up the board, don't focus on trying to hit these low percentage shots. If they want to throw a block, throw a block. That time, go up and hit your airmail. You got it. Don't focus on anything else. If at any time you feel like things are going awry, snowball effect, going downhill, something's on fire, whatever it is, take that time out, take a breath, reset, and assess the situation. Check out the score, check out the board. If you're in the middle of a round, if you have a partner, talk with them, get their feedback, get their reassurance, and then go right back into your mode. And then if and when a match is over, something went wrong, can't dwell on it. You just got to go to the next one. And that's the same thing with a bag too. You miss a bag, it's one bag, you got 3 left. It's one game, you got 5 left, whatever the case is. And don't try to control the outcome.
So they won't try to control the outcome, right? And this is great. So the only part I'll correct is when you said, if things are going awry, okay, whatever, I can't remember exactly what you said, but that this is where you want to insert yourself. So you're basically saying, hey, employees, here's the job, which is what you laid out. So we're doing this. This is what we're doing. You guys know, everyone has their roles. Everyone's very competent. I trust you guys all to do your jobs. If and when you need me, I'm here, I'm present, and I'm ready to provide you with whatever you need. because you are the one that has to give the employees the resources, right? They're not actually on the court, you are, right? So you're the eyes and ears and the one in the experience. So if they say, let's say the fire inside, as you said, there's a fire, there's Mayday. They might say, hey, we need something. And then you, as the CEO, the conscious mind, it's up to you to say, okay, what if we did like a nice deep breath here? Would that help you guys? And they'd be like, oh God, you know what? That would be so great. I would feel so much better, right? So you're letting them do their job, but you are fully present, because what happens sometimes with our conscious, with our CEO mind, is we do one of two things. We micromanage and we say, I don't actually trust you to do your job, and I'm going to stand over your desk and watch you with every single move and criticize everything you're doing. Or we completely check out and we're just completely unavailable. And we're like, hey, you guys got it? Because I can't deal. I'm out. And they're like, okay, we'll do the best we can. But like, if we need something, we have no way to get it because the boss has left the building. So that's that shutting down, which makes sense when things get overwhelming and frustrating that you want to retreat, but you're the boss and you don't get that luxury. You have to stay present. And you have to listen to your body and your employees and say, okay, guys, we are in a shitty situation. What do we need? What do you guys need? And they're like, we're freaking the F out. And you're like, okay, I know what we need. We need a reset. We need to calm down. I got this, you guys. Don't worry. Here's what we're going to do. We're all going to take a deep breath. And then it's like, okay, all right, is everybody good? Does everyone have their jobs? Are we fine? And it's like, okay, yeah. So does that make sense? How you're the leader, but you're letting them do their job, but you're there whenever they need you.
Yes, that makes more sense. And I think you alluded to it in one of the videos that you sent me, comparing it to your body. I'm not consciously thinking about breathing. That's just subconscious. It's just my body does that. However, if I begin to have an asthma attack, I might need to hone in and like think about your breath so that you know you're getting air in, you're getting it, and slow it down. So that at that time I am consciously thinking about what's going in, thinking about what's going out, so that I am getting this sufficient amount of oxygen until I'm able to get my inhaler, till, you know, whatever the case is. So that analogy really, really helped, because when I saw it first, I'm like looking at the tip of the iceberg, and then I'm like looking at everything underneath, and I'm like, so do I need to do this, and this? But that the body analogy, I mean, especially somebody who like works out, I'm not telling my body you need to you know, on a rest day, you need to repair yourself. You know, your muscle fibers need to, you know, to get back together. It's like, no, I'm taking a rest day. I'm filling my body with nutrition, so that way when I'm asleep and I'm at rest, my body just does it naturally, so that whenever it's time to go do legs or whatever the next case is, you know, I'm ready to go, because my body has had that time to heal itself without me really thinking about it.
Trust it, right? I think that.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That's the big thing too. Is yes, trusting that my body is going to repair itself before my next session or whatever.
It sounds crazy to think that you would say, well, why wouldn't I trust it, right? But the difference is that those are the things that you were born with, right? So you don't have any memory of having to learn how to breathe, right? Or, you know, that's just something that department was developed before you had conscious awareness. So it's really easy to trust it and rely on it because you don't have any other input. When we talk about skills we're developing, you had to create the whole department. It didn't exist. There was no cornhole department. You had to hire the employees, you had to train the employees, you had to literally create the office space, right? Like it just wasn't even a thing. And so what happens is we go into this thinking, oh, I'm going to develop this cornhole department and it's going to be really cool and fun and everyone's going to have a great time and it's going to enhance my life and fulfill some of my needs. And that's really exciting. And then, and at first it's just all fun. You're just building it. You're putting the paint up. We're having fun meetings and we're like, oh my God, look, we suck. And everyone's having a great time. And then it switches. And all of a sudden you really think those employees should be, you know, top notch. And they're still like, hey, but we're still human, right? Like we're still human. So yes, you've trained us, and yes, we're excited and ready, and we want to keep developing our skills, and we think we're pretty good at our jobs, but you still have to give us some grace because we're still learning. And this isn't a skill we were born with. We had to learn it. And so it's going to take some time. And I also, when they're feeling down, you as the CEO are the one that has to lift them up and say, hey, we had a bad day. We had a bad round, you guys, but look, you're so competent. You so got this. You've been working at this. I know you can do this. And that's your job. And so that pep talk was reminding them of all the things that they've been training, right? Which is really, really good, because in those moments when things feel not so good, it's going back to your training. You've trained for this. You guys know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's about instilling that trust. So if you think about like a parenting situation, if you were giving a pep talk to your kid and you were like, I trust you fully that you're going to be incredible at XYZ, right? Whether there's sports or a recital or whatever, like I trust you and your training and everything you've done. There is nothing for you to worry about. You're going to be absolutely incredible. And if you have some slip ups, that's because you're human and that's okay too. And we'll learn from them to grow. And it means nothing about who you are, right? So like, that's your role. You're there to remind your employees that they're human, that they've done a great job training. You totally trust them. They've got this, and you're here and present and ready whenever they need you. But then I gave the golfing example, right? The CEO's off golfing, right? But your cell phone's on. So in the cornhole analogy, it's like your employees are the one implementing everything in the game, right? They're the one gripping the bag, releasing the bag, all the things.
Mm-hmm.
You're off golfing and you're having a great time, which doesn't mean you're not present, because it just means you get to actually enjoy the process, because you're just watching your employees in awe. Like, look at everybody I've trained. They're so good at this. You guys are incredible, right? And you get to just watch. And then you see one of them start struggling and the papers piling up in their office, and you're like, hey, whoa, hold on, what's going on here? And they're like, I'm overwhelmed. And you're like, hey, don't worry, let's take a deep breath, right? That's the role in the game. It's like you're present, but you're not controlling, and you're just kind of watching everything in awe and just enjoying the process.
Perfect. So good.
Okay, cool. I'm glad that landed better.
So much.
Good. I know it's a weird analogy. It's an analogy that I've always used in weight loss, because people try to control their weight loss, and I know that you can control your weight loss to a degree, and so trying to switch people into trusting their weight loss department is really, really difficult. But it's the same here. You have all these this whole subconscious mind that's this beast working for you, but it can also work against you if you aren't aware of, the fact that every department's stressed out, right? Everything's in Mayday, everything's a fire, everyone's freaking out, everyone's work is piling up, they're not sleeping. Like, if that's the environment, like, that is not going to be conducive for success. Like, you need to know that. You need to be like, whoa, we've got some major like, we need to have a conversation and create different systems, and we need to approach things differently, and we need to slow down, and maybe we need to add some employees, and right, like, if things aren't working, it's up to you to check into your body, your unconscious, and be like, what the heck is happening in there, you guys? Because and 9 times out of 10, it's poor leadership, right? It's that you're being a bad leader. You're talking down to them. You're expecting too much. You're micromanaging. You're trying to control everybody. And everyone's like, I can't work well in this environment.
Right. No, that's so good. Huh. Yeah. No, because, yeah, I mean, I just like a push shot right in front of the board, done it 100 times. And I blow one off the back of the board. And instead of like, come on, bro, you got this, it's you idiot.
Yeah.
Or, and it's, but again, then that's on
what you're telling your
that's on the leadership. Yeah. Yes. I mean, the employee, like, yeah, they may have done that, but they're human, and they're gonna miss a push shot every night. I was just watching what was it, Mark Richards, Tony Smith against Colin Hodette and Jalen
Jones.
Yeah. And I think back-to-back rounds, Tony Smith scored 5 points or gave up 5 points, and just like that, just because push shots, where he was missing shots. But it's like, even the best of the best are not hitting that shot 100% of the time. So,
and how long has Tony Smith been training his cornhole department?
8 times longer than most of us, I think. Yeah,
exactly.
Right. And then there's cool Mark Richards on the other end. Like, yeah, your partner just gave up back-to-back 5-point rounds, and he's just like, it's all good, boy. Like a lot of game left. And it just, the positive reinforcement there was cool. So it was cool kind of seeing that work, and them work together. And then I was watching, I think it was Ethan Walker and Logan Chamberlain, and that game was going back and forth, but then Logan dialed in. I don't know if he, and again, it was like, it looked like something may have happened to the side because he kind of like stopped and reset. But after he did that reset, he went on like a 12-2 run or something like that.
He did.
And
He
I
did
was thinking like that was going to screw him up, because you could see on his face like something happened or distracted him that he didn't normally maybe would have happened. But he locked in, and I mean, Ethan was just kind of like, he was just throwing bags. He looked very comfortable the entire time. But yeah, Logan switched it and just ran away with it at that point after being down for a good part of that match. So it's fun watching that now and being like, oh, that he hit a reset, or oh, somebody did, and just kind of being able to pick that out. It's a lot more fun to watch. Yeah, the skill and everything, but kind of seeing the chess play go on in their own head. As far as
you're entering my world now.
It's yeah,
what I watch.
It's so, yeah, it's so cool. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Jake will take care of the mechanical part of it, and then you're watching the mental side of it. Like, ooh, maybe he should take a timeout right now and stop the bleeding or cool this person down. So that's a pretty cool tandem that you guys have, being able to kind of get both sides of the call on that.
Well, and you brought up a good point with doubles, right? Let's go back to leadership with doubles. So if you're a really strong, assertive, confident leader and you make a mistake, wouldn't you naturally be like, you wouldn't say like, oh my God, I suck, because now everyone's like, uh-oh, our leader isn't so confident, right? Like that's an unstable leader now. Like we need a leader that's leads by example and says, oh, look, see, I mess up too. I'm just like you guys. Like we're all human. We're all just the same. That's a strong leader. And then your partner is making mistakes. How do you communicate to your partner and help them staying in that leadership position? How do you stay? And then the other thing I want to bring up, because everybody asks me, are you saying tough love doesn't work? And, they talk a lot about the Matt and Brett guy, and like, that's the way they've always been. How are you saying that that's what's the problem is? And I want to be really clear that when I'm talking about assertiveness, I don't always mean gentle. Gentle doesn't work for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You will have employees that you have to be like, you have to coddle a bit, right? You have to be like, hey, you've got this. Okay. Don't worry about it. You're being hard on yourself. And you have employees that you be like, hey, you're better than this. Get your head out of your ass. Like you've got this. So it's not about gentleness necessarily, but it's about the energy in which it comes from. And if your energy is, that's disappointing, I'm disappointed, I'm annoyed, I'm frustrated, then anything you say after that is coming from that energy. And if your energy is, I fully trust you, you've got this, and whether you say something gentle or not gentle, that has an impact. And all I'm saying is that when I watch partner dynamics, I can feel, which means they can feel, when your partner is annoyed or frustrated or disappointed, and that energy does not create good results on the other side of the board.
Makes sense.
You can say whatever you want. You can be like, hey, asshole, get your head out of your ass. Like you can say that. But you have to actually genuinely trust them. And that is what I'm noticing is the energy of where it's coming from.
Perfect.
If your partner misses and you go, ugh, what is that communicating?
Right. There's no trust.
No trust.
Right.
Exactly. Okay. Any other questions as we wrap this up?
Again, nothing that's immediately coming to. Obviously, if something does, I'll shoot you a message on Vox Vocal, or I'll type it out. But no, it's been awesome. Like I said, cornhole has become fun again.
That's the goal, right?
Yeah, and it's not like you said. It sounds so goofy, when you first start playing. It's fun. Everything's fun. Everything's new. I got new bags. Like that's fun. And now it's like these bags aren't working. I need new bags, or whatever the case is, and try to come up with all these different like excuses as to why you're sucking. And it's like, yo, just go back to the basics. Put the bag in the hole and have a good time. Like,
Yeah, I'd say it's a common, it's strong leadership. It's understanding your employees' needs, and then it's being present and being able to respond to those needs as quickly as possible. Like, to me, that's the formula, not for cornhole necessarily, but for life. And
sure.
it's true everywhere, right? Like, my job as a parent is to be a strong leader. Like, it's not, I don't do everything for my kid, and I haven't since he was a very young age, because I don't think it's my job to nurture in that way, to do everything for him, which I know some moms show up that way, and that's fine for them. But like, that's
Yeah.
not my energy. My energy is, I'm supposed to be your leader. Like, I'm supposed to lead you and guide you and trust you. And then when you have things you need help with, I'm always present and I'm immediately available for whatever it is that you need. And if I don't have the resource to help, then I will find it for you. That's how I view my job as a parent, and that's how I treat myself. I try to listen to my body the minute it tells me something. It's not always possible, but I will at least acknowledge it. Like, if it's like, like when I'm commentating and I'm tired, I'm like, body, I hear you.
Right.
like, I know I can't do anything about it right now. I'm so sorry, but I promise. And then I'll make a commitment to myself. When we get home on Monday, I'll block my calendar and we will not do any work. Like, so I'm always listening and responding. And that's, to me, how I can be a good leader to myself and hopefully lead myself in the direction that I'm envisioning that we're going.
That's awesome. No, that's fantastic. Love it.
All right, cool, Joe. Well, I'm so excited. Keep me posted. And then, of course, I'll see you next week. And yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks so much for showing up and doing the work and being coachable and all the things. Like, the reason why you're having results is not because I'm talking. It's because you're embodying it and applying it. And that's just says a lot about you.
Well, you made it very relatable and easy to understand. And I'm sure you could probably go different ways with certain teachings and different things, but everything that you've either said or sent me has made a lot of sense. And I've been able to see the juxtaposition between not just cornhole, but obviously, like you said, life in general. I'm hungry. You know what, body? As soon as I'm done with this meeting, I'm going to go get myself something to eat. Whatever the case is, listening and responding. And then just being a good leader to yourself, but obviously to others is going to speak volumes, both on and off the court. So it's been awesome, and so very thankful for your time. I know you could be doing a million other things right about now, but I don't take it lightly. It's very humbling. I greatly appreciate all of your time that you put into this.
Oh, totally my pleasure. All right, Joe. Can't wait to see what happens, but keep me posted in Voxer, and I'll see you next week.
Sounds good.